Welcome to Boris FX Live. Sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations. Create without limits. And by NVIDIA. And Intel.
Hi guys, welcome to the webinar. Well, live. Welcome to the live. This is Mary Poplin, and we're with Boris FX, and we're going to be interviewing Alan today, and we're going to be talking with Brian Fox a little bit about particle illusion, and then John later is going to show us a little bit about how to create effects with particle illusion. So I want you guys to know that you can ask your questions live on our show, and to do that, you go to this handy little box and you ask your questions right beside the video, and we're all in the chat ready to answer your questions. Now, you can also enter to give away prizes. You can enter to win prizes because we are giving away a ton of prizes today. We are giving away, a lot of prizes. So that's going to be right here at the bottom of this page. You're going to enter to win. You're going to enter your full name, your email, your country, which is required, and then you click the submit button. You can also sign up for our newsletters there, which is a really good way to keep in touch with us. All right. So we are giving away a lot of prizes, as I said. So the first thing that we are giving away is we are giving away 10 annual subscriptions to Particle Illusion, and that's going to be multi-host. So now, for everybody else that did not win those today, I do want you to know that you can just go to our website and download Particle Illusion for free. So technically everybody's a winner today, but we also are giving away one annual suite of Continuum, and we are also giving away a license of the Continuum and a license of the Boris FX Suite. So we're giving away both of those, and we also have your choice of swag in the store. So we are giving away swag. If you want swag, enter to win. All right, so I want to give a shout out real quick to our sponsors. So thank you very much to NVIDIA, Dell, and Intel, who are our wonderful sponsors. Thank you so much. I'm actually broadcasting live from a Dell computer right this minute, and it's actually a Dell Precision Workstation. Now, I do want to make sure that I introduce our speakers today. So the first speaker I want to introduce is Brian. So Brian Fox is running the production of this little webinar.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mary. Hey, Alan. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, too. And I also want to introduce Alan. So Alan Lorence is the original creator of Particle Illusion, and he's also a product manager here at Boris FX.
Hello, Mary. Hi, Brian. And everybody else.
How are you today?
Good. I'm excited to talk about particle illusion. Love talking about it.
Excellent. That's great. Well, we are going to talk, we're going to talk with you in just a second, and we're going to talk to Brian first, I think, about the new PI product. Brian, you want to chime in here and talk about that?
Yes, definitely. So super excited. We have a new product we just released like hours ago, which is Particle Illusion plugin subscriptions, right? So previously, obviously everyone knows Particle Illusion standalone application is free. Everybody should download it right now. Every single person watching this webinar should have Particle Illusion standalone on their computer because it is free, right? But the plugin version that comes in Continuum, you previously could only get that as a permanent license if you just wanted to buy the Particle Illusion standalone. But we have now introduced subscriptions for the Particle Illusion plugin, right? And I have a fancy dancy little graphic that I can bring up here. So annual subscriptions for the Particle Illusion multi-host plugin is $95, and you can get into the Particle Illusion plugin for $15 per month. That is great value. This is a multi-host plugin. So that means it works in After Effects, it works in Premiere, it works in Resolve. What else, Alan? What else does it work in? Premiere, Resolve, Nuke, Avid, right? Avid as well. So definitely I will say, from playing around a lot with particle illusion, like the plugin is definitely the way to go. The standalone version that is free is fantastic and a great way to introduce yourself to the world of particle illusion and to get around and mess around and play with emitters and kind of see what it's all about. But definitely when you want to start creating complex composites, you do want to get into that plugin just so you can comp those particles. You can put it on a base layer video, you can integrate it, and you can really take it to the next level. So this is super exciting. Very happy about this price point. Great deal, $95 per year or $15 a month if you just want to try out the plugin in After Effects, or try it out in free Resolve as well, right? So you can mess around in particle illusion in Resolve without the high price of one of our host applications. Okay, all right, that's it for my pitch. My work here is done. Right now, I'm just going to go behind the scenes and direct and hand it over to you guys as well.
Hey, that's wonderful. And, you know, everybody's favorite color is free, I'm sure. So we love
Yes,
that
ma'am.
the most. So definitely make sure you download the free version. And I hope one of you, well, I hope 10 of you win today. And then for those that don't, we have 2 more licenses available via the Continuum Suite and the Boris FX Suite in general. Now, please hit that like and subscribe button, because that actually helps us. It helps us create more content. So if you're watching this and you like what you're seeing so far, hit like and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to actually start interviewing Alan a little bit about particle illusion. So Alan, do you want to tell us a little bit about like how it started and how it's going? So how did it start? How did all of this come to be? Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, that's it's a while ago, and if you've noticed on the YouTube, there's a poll up. If you were born after November 1st, 1998, ask that date specifically, because congratulations, if you are born after that date, particle illusion is older than you are. That is the date I started working on particle illusion, and the idea behind it was, I don't want to say there was no plan, because that wasn't really true, but it turned into something bigger than it originally was going to be. I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but maybe I'll reveal some secrets that I haven't talked about before.
I like secrets. Let's go.
Yeah, before I even worked on particle illusion at all, I was working at a toy company called Trendmasters here in town, and they're defunct. You can Google them though. A lot of great toys. And we had a multimedia department, and I was the only programmer in that department. And so I just got to kind of mess around and do a bunch of cool graphics stuff. And one of the things I did was in Java, I wrote a little spark generator, just not colored, but just white sparks. And you would move your mouse around in a window and it would throw sparks off. And it was surprisingly addictive to play with. And we had a room of, I think 4 or 5 3D artists who were working on SGIs at the time. And since they could pull up a Java window there, they would play with it. And they're like, you guys, you got to get this off my system. I'm wasting too much time playing with this stupid little sparks. And that's when I realized that that's something that, you know, might be kind of fun to work on. And so I started developing that as a something. I've always been very visual feedback oriented. Like when computer games started getting 3D graphics, I always was a sucker for all the bells and whistles. So colored lights and anything that looked cool, that to me that made the game better, even if it really was not a great game. And so my idea was originally something that I could do very quickly and gave me instant gratification. And at the time, I was leaving the toy company, and there was a company called Impulse who was big in the Amiga community. I don't like, man, I'm using a lot of historical terms here, but the Amiga community, Impulse was a big software developer there, and they had ported their 3D software over to Windows and Mac, and at the time it was a ray tracer that was pretty advanced, and by today's standards, probably not anything to even bother with, but at that time it was fantastic. And I approached them with this idea for something kind of interesting, and they said, well, we were looking for something that would do cool stuff, so show us what you have. And that was basically my brief, was do cool stuff. And so I started with the little sparks, and it was they were, on a scale of 1 to 10, they were probably a 5. They said, that's fine. Like, I don't know if that's really anything we're going to do with it. But then we had an artist that I was working with, Tom Granberg was an early particle illusion artist, and he saw the potential because we developed it as a sprite-based particle system, which means you can load your own images for each of the particles. And, I had made this little thing that does sparks, and it could do colors by the time I had it for Impulse. But Tom sent me back this video of a just amazing smoke trail that just had like fire, and it had a colored smoke, not colored smoke, shaded smoke coming off of it and everything. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, do you want me to try to make it to do that? Like, what is that from? And he's like, well, that's from your software. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like, that's not what it's supposed to do, sparks, and so then at that point, like, immediately knew that was the time when it was going to become something a lot more than it originally was. And so I think we released version 1 of Particle Illusion in 99, possibly. Maybe a year after I started working on it was the first actual public release. I don't know, in the chat, does anybody remember what the original name of Particle Illusion was? Maybe I'll let people think about that for a minute. I'm sure, I see from the chat a lot of older people, but there was a name for it that it never, only the original beta testers ever saw, and it was called Pixel Dust originally. And so, confusingly, a lot of the files still have the word pixel dust in them, and so it's a little bit of a problem sometimes when you're looking at the code. But that was the original name, Pixel Dust. But we changed it to Illusion at some point, and then Particle Illusion, because there was already a Avid product called Illusion, and it was kind of confusing. So Particle Illusion is what it's been. And then, let's see, we went through version 2, version 3. In the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, you can see behind me, here's the trade show poster for Particle Illusion 3.0, and I think that was 2003. And then at that time, we had a large library of emitters, which are presets for the particles that we developed, because we had been releasing a free emitter library every month. That was part of the deal. You bought the software, and then you got new emitters every month. I did that for years, and that's why we've got such a huge library of particle illusion emitters right now. Let's see. I guess we can jump ahead a few years, and then we got to the time when the late 2000s, when GenArts bought WonderTouch. There's the old WonderTouch website. Lots of memories there. Thanks for pulling it up, Brian.
I love the Flash player.
Yeah, Flash player. Oh yeah, it's such a blast from the past there. Yeah, so then GenArts bought WonderTouch, and unfortunately didn't really do anything with particle illusion. There you go, Flash player. Yeah, we had a plugin version for After Effects that was not great. That had been in development for a while, and we just GenArts didn't really see particle illusion fitting into their product portfolio that well, so it just sat there for a while. And then when Boris FX bought GenArts, Boris himself said, "Hey, let's revive particle illusion." And it had been sitting there really with no releases whatsoever for, I would say, 6 or 7 years, not even like a little bug fix or anything. It was just, frozen in time. And then Boris said, let's go ahead and let's revamp it. Let's get a modern UI on it. Let's make sure it runs on all the latest OSs, which that was a problem with the version that was frozen in time. Was it was hard to make it run on certain versions of Windows and Mac OS. It just would not work well. So I'm not sure how long it's been now, Brian. Has it been 3 years or a little bit more than that? We've been working on this and updating it with a brand new UI. It's now a plugin for all the Continuum supported hosts except for Final Cut Pro, which is not supported. And it's got tons of new features. We've been adding not only user interface enhancements, but just lots of new features every release, and especially 3D. Particle Illusion was always a 2D particle system forever, and that was the biggest request from day one from people is, can it be 3D? And so it finally is. We did that a couple of releases ago, and we had just with the latest release of 20. Let's see, what is the latest release, Brian? Remind me.
2021.5.
Yes. And that now has more 3D features in it, and it's just a fantastic tool now. People ask me, well, do you miss the old particle illusion? And I have to use it once in a while just to check,
sir.
To make sure how something's working now, compared to an old version, make sure emitters still work the same and everything. And boy, it is really painful to use the old version. So painful.
Yeah.
If you've not, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you touched on something really interesting earlier when you were talking about how, the reason you made it in the first place was because it gave you so much feedback, right? So, and I feel like in the newer version, you still keep that feedback, and you have the aspect of it that I feel like Particle Illusion has a pretty hardcore fan base that really likes it. It makes that fan base happy, but it also makes it where new users can jump right in and use it, which is really very useful.
And that's really, it's still the key. Like that's been Particle Illusion's, basis all along, is it still has to be that thing where you can just jump in and do something cool right away without having to do a lot of setup or a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a really excellent toy that happens to be also a really awesome professional tool.
Yep. I used Particle Illusion back in the day, early 2000s, and I will say, for me, it was always fast, easy to use, and it was always about those presets. Good Lord, Alan, you released so many presets, right? It was insanity, and that was the cool part. Was it was just like a deluge of presets. Was it every quarter or every month or something? It was every month, yeah, every month, yeah. And then that was all the way through. Boy, I don't remember. We hit a point where we paused for a while, then we switched to quarterly releases, and then that eventually had to go away too, just because it's, in the early days, it was pretty easy to come up with new ideas for emitters. Yep.
But then after, let's say, 5 years of monthly emitters, you're just like, all right, do I really need to make a new version of a smoke? And you just try to figure out something new, and it became so hard, really difficult to come up with presets for years and years. So, in the latest releases, we've been doing it again. Every release comes out with new presets now, and they're easy because the new features that get added are really fun to make presets for.
Well, we have most of the original presets as well, don't we? Along with all kinds of new ones in the newest version.
A lot of them, we curated them, and so we removed a lot of the weaker ones, the ones that really were, showing their age, that were from the early days. A lot of those are gone, just because they were just not useful in any way. And everybody trust my opinion when I tell you that we didn't take out any good ones. The ones that are left are, there's still, how many left, Brian? Do you know 2,500? There's still a lot left.
Yeah, over 2,000. A ton.
So
a ton.
We just kind of.
And you can also download an extra pack of them on our website. That's a full library, a fuller library than comes with the original install.
Right. If you just do the single install, we'll put one large sampler library for you and a custom library and the latest library with the current release. So you'll have 3 libraries if you just do the install. But then there's a link to download the additional libraries. That's where you get all the extra ones. And there's no, you should do that. There's no reason not to do that. If you've used the old Particle Illusion, it had the limitation of one emitter library loaded at a time, and so you always just had to switch between libraries. The latest, one of the pain points that I can't stand going back to the old version is finding emitters is impossible. Now all the libraries are available at once. Even though technically only one is loaded at a time, it looks like they're all loaded at the same time. And there's an emitter search as well. So you can search across all the libraries, and it'll pop things up based on your search criteria. It's just so much easier to find stuff.
I want to speak to that for a second, because I know that there is a special character that you can type into the search that will bring up like a curated list of your favorites, like a basically our company favorites.
Yeah, you can star your own favorites just like you can with any other pretty much application. But we back in the day we had what we called the Pro emitters, which were a special pack of emitters that you could purchase additionally. Those are now included with Particle Illusion. Those are some of the most complex and advanced emitters, at least at the time. I mean, some of the newer stuff we're doing is much even more advanced than that, but these are pretty great. And because they all were named with some special characters in them, you could type those in the search and it'll bring up all the Pro emitters at once for you. So that is just two colons.
It's
yeah.
Excellent.
It's sorry to cut you off, Mary. It really is great.
Okay.
Yeah, very useful.
Yeah. We had somebody ask in the chat. Actually, they wanted to know like how would they use something like this in DaVinci Resolve or another package. And the standalone does render on its own, but because, as you mentioned, when you got purchased by Boris FX and when we started developing it more, it works as a plugin now too. So you can run it as a plugin in any of your software.
The plugin version definitely work in Resolve. Standalone version renders ProRes with alpha, so you could render off some explosions or sparkle trails or whatever, and then load that ProRes footage with alpha back into your host, whatever it is. Even if you don't have the plugin, you do that with the standalone.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
Brian,
awesome.
wasn't there Brian? There was a video that was released pretty recently that had that.
Yes, that's part of the amazing training series. Sorry, I'm like just lost in the PI website over here staring at pretty images. So there is, if you go to borisfx.com, go to products under Continuum, because it is part of the Continuum family, you'll find the Particle Illusion website here, and there's tons of information on here. This is one of the most kind of fleshed out websites. It's almost like an encyclopedia about Particle Illusion. So on here, if you go to learn, you'll see there's a massive 16-part free training series that John Dickinson and Ben Brownlee put together. It is like I will say like a PhD level in particles, right? But it starts off from the basics. And in here, there is a comparison video between the standalone and the plugin. I'm just blanking right now, but it's one of these.
I think also, Brian, I think that even each video, Ben and John both say, hey, this is how you can do it with the standalone. If you have the plugin, you can do it this way. So they do touch on it in a lot of the videos too. You don't have to look for the specific one.
Yep. I found this one. So another way to get, if you guys are just interested to getting to all of the training, go to the Boris FX webpage. Hit all videos. This is our new video library. And there's tons of ways to filter. We have amazing amount of training materials. Just click on that little P for Particle Illusion and you'll see all the new ones here, right? And you can click on these and you can see like just tons. We have some webinars, we have some different tutorials, and the full learning series is here as well. So this is really awesome. And at the very top, let's see if it's still under here, the full Getting Started series is put together. If you click on this under featured video series, you'll see here this is basically like a whole little run through. If you want to run through it in order, like really starting from the base installation and then going all the way up to turbulence and 3D. Ben and John did a great job with this. They really are like excellent teachers. So I highly recommend everyone to check this stuff out. But really cool stuff on Particle Illusion.
Yeah, and we are going to actually hear from John. During this stream, we're going to have a demonstration by John that he sent to us because he's asleep in Australia right now. That we're going to play here pretty soon.
He is. He better be.
Before
asleep.
we dive, yeah. Before we dive into all that, though, I think I'd like to give away some prizes because we have a lot of prizes to give away, don't we?
Give me 1 second. Let me see if we're ready. Yes, we can give away 2 of the Particle Illusion premium filters. Let me just pull in my graphics here.
Okay.
Bear with
Well,
me.
I'm pretty excited about that. And just to remind everybody, please hit that like and subscribe button. That is, again, how we continue to make this content for you guys. And if you want to enter to win our prizes, make sure that you use the form on Boris FX Live. Send us your contact information and your email so that we can get prizes to you. If you don't enter to win, we can't get your prizes because we don't know how to contact you via your anonymous YouTube name. So just go ahead and punch your data in and we can get a prize to you. Now, for those of you that have entered already,
Mary.
we have two
ready.
winners to announce. Perfect. And the winners we are going to announce is going to be, let's see, this is going to be, which I can't see over the
Ray Heath. Ray Heath.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Ray. Ray gets a Particle Illusion annual subscription to the plugin, to the premium filter. Like I said, this is multi-host, so this works in After Effects. Avid, works in anything. So that is fantastic.
Thank you. My toolbar was right over the name.
yes. Mary, your video has gone black, by the way. But
very good.
Check that out. And I have our second winner coming up for the another annual subscription to the Particle Illusion Premium Filter is Michelle Politi. So congratulations, Michelle. I apologize for probably butchering your surname, but you have won an annual subscription to the Particle Illusion Premium Filter multi-host plugin, $95 value. Once again, works in After Effects, Avid, Premiere, Resolve, Nuke, whole bunch of different host applications. All right, back to you, Mary.
All right. Well, that's congratulations, you guys. And again, thanks for entering to win. So let's talk a little bit, Alan. Let's talk a little bit about where you see Particle Illusion going, because of course we are going to keep developing this. We're going to keep making it better and better. Are there any user requests that you're seeing that you're really excited about, or any directions that you're excited about going in? I mean, in vague terms, because obviously we can't nail anything down.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Lots of big stuff coming for Particle Illusion. It's been a few years that we've been working on this, and it took a while to get to the point where, the UI was updated, everything was working the way it was before, and then when we started adding new features, that's when it started becoming exciting. And now that 3D is implemented, that was the next little hurdle, and now the extra things we're adding are just really exciting. We're going to make 3D easier to use. I guess there's 2 areas we're focusing on. Since Particle Illusion is such an old product, there's the modern particle systems that are out there do quite a bit more than Particle Illusion does currently with lighting and with things like that. And so we're bringing Particle Illusion up to kind of date on all those things. So all the things that if you've used particle systems and other software that might be missing from Particle Illusion, those are things that we're already thinking about and possibly working on already. So that's one area, just exciting new features. The other thing is performance. We're always looking for ways to make Particle Illusion faster, and whether it's faster renders or faster interactivity or whatever it is. So we're always looking at ways of doing that. So always going to see things coming out faster, and you're always going to see more features coming out. And I really can't be more specific than that. But I will say that the next release that's coming out later this fall is going to be pretty exciting. If you're not excited already, the next release will definitely get you excited.
Perfect. Well, I can hear Brian typing, I think.
Sorry. Me and my mechanical keyboard.
I have the same problem. I had to move to one of those little silicone roll-up thingies because otherwise I just hammer it away. All right. Well, wonderful. As far as development goes, okay, we're talking about bringing everything up into the future and beyond, and we're working on speed. That's That's really awesome to know. I mean, I already feel like it's pretty fast and pretty interactive, but once you start rendering, of course, and once you start pre-generating particles and stuff like that, obviously that takes more time to render. So I'm pretty interested in seeing those speed improvements. Now, is there anything you're really excited about with particle illusion that you can share with us? Like, that's not a development thing, but just like, what's your favorite thing about particle illusion that you can tell us about?
I think it's still the fact that I can still just jump in and do something really cool and interesting with not a lot of effort. I don't have the patience, Mary. Like, you are undoubtedly a Mocha expert. A lot of what you do with Mocha is not what I would call instant gratification. Like, that is some good work that you do, and you really put time into it. I don't have that patience, so I want to see something fast. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for those results. But of course, I'm not doing it professionally either. I'm doing it just as a developer. I guess as a product manager now, I'm not doing development myself. I'm doing some R&D, but that's about it. But yeah, it's just that instant gratification really is what still makes it fun for me.
I mean, if you are impatient, then what am I, my friend? All right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, good Lord, I would definitely use many adjectives to describe yourself, but impatient is not one. But I know what you mean. You want that instant feedback, right? And you want to get in and mess around. That's one thing I love. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I love about PI, right? But one thing is exactly that, what you nailed on. Like, I've sat down with my 9-year-old and 7-year-old and put them in front of PI, and they play with it like, exactly like you would think. They can just start instantly dragging around. There's visual reinforcement. They figure out the interface. And next thing you know, the minute they find explosions, like, it's over, right? They're just in there clicking on the same time. And it's not that same way with many other programs. Like, I can put my kid in front of Sapphire or Continuum, right? And there is a base level of knowledge that needs to go into it to do anything. And then they'll be like, well, that's not that cool, right? But like, sparks are cool, like explosions are cool. Smoke is like, it's that stuff that we're all fully ingrained in. So it is fun to see that really like, and that's the best part about the standalone too, right? Like, I mean, I can't say that enough, like, because, we were together at Gen Arts, right? With the acquisition. And I've known you for a long time through trade shows. I think the favorite thing I love about PI right now is the free standalone. To me, that's like it's an amazing tool that we've been able to give away for free. We've had an insane amount of downloads. Like, so many people have been able to try it, right? Use it. It's people always ask the question, right? Of like, what's your angle, right? What's going on here? Why is it free? Like, there's no angle. We just want people to try it. We want people to use it, It exports ProRes, right? You can do ProRes with Alpha. So, like, you can totally export an explosion and pull it right back in Competent Fusion or Competent Resolve. Like, me personally, like, once you get into particles, like, I find the standalone very limiting, right? Because I want to put it on video. I want to track it with Mocha, which is amazing. Like, I want to use Beat Reactor with it in Continuum. Like, all of those, like, kind of extra pro features are all in the plugin version only. Like, we could do a whole session on just Mocha tracking with PI, right? Like, that's a really cool feature. But the fact that there is that entry level standalone that someone can just download it right now and use it totally, and it really isn't that feature limited. I love that, and it's a great way to kind of get people who maybe have heard about particle illusion in the past, or, oh my God, I've like, oh, is that some old program? We'll just try it. There's no reason why everyone shouldn't try it. You'll definitely some of the improvements have made, and you guys continue to improve upon it, right? You're added in new features like at such a clip. So it's really fun to watch kind of from afar.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Mocha thing, actually, because that was what I was going to bring up here in a second. Like, the fact that you can take the plugin, and that you can take the tool, that you can take the plugin, and then you can just load the background clip, and you can track in Mocha, and you can do things like track the background and like a foreground object, so that you can have something move in like pseudo 3D space. That's amazing. Like, if you want to have flames come out the end of a car pipe, you can do that. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, the Mocha integration is one of the best things about the plugin, I think. Really makes it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Oh yeah.
One question I want to hit on the chat, which, because a lot of people we talk about subscriptions, right? And like everyone has their thoughts on subscriptions. It's a very polarizing, topic in software, right? We're definitely not going to get into that debate. But at Boris FX, we always sell both, right? So we give you the options of either one. Like if you want to buy the PI Premium filter, you can go ahead and buy it outright, and have it and just put it away and kind of let it live. I always tell people just as long as you know that that what you bought, we test it versus a certain plugin, a certain version of OS, and there's no guarantee in the future that Adobe may change something that might force you to update. But as long as you can kind of have that machine locked in stone, you're good for infinity, right? Subscriptions are also offered lower cost, lower point to get into. You can get into PI plugin right now for $15 a month, right? Which is fantastic. And the good part about this is you're always up to date, right? It's always going to be up to date. You're always going to be on the latest version. You don't have to worry about that. So it's really up to you personally whether you want to make that choice. But we do always offer both, and that pretty much goes with all our products across the board. So nothing is subscription only, nothing is permanent only. Mostly the subscriptions we love because it allows us to get in that lower price point and allows us to open it up to more people. So that's my shill on subscriptions.
It's also nice because you can ramp up and down if you need to. Like if you only need
100%,
you only need the license for a year, okay, no problem.
Yeah, or a project, you can use it a couple months. Use it on that, archive it, and then you want to bring it back up and open it up again. You can jump in on a monthly as well, and you could control that all easily through your Boris FX account panel. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to kind of use whatever model works for them personally, which I think is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, are we ready to give away a little bit more prizes?
Yes, I am ready. Mary, I'm ready. I'm always ready for you. Ready?
Okay, perfect. I am. Yes, absolutely. So we are giving away a particle illusion premium filter that's going to go to Tim Townley. So congratulations, Tim. And we are also giving away another particle illusion premium filter that's going to go to Zach Pritchard. So congratulations, Zach. And again, I want to remind all of y'all that if you still want to play around with particle illusion, again, download that standalone for free on our website. You can do that right now. All right.
I have a great question for Alan from the chat here before we get into John's presentation. Does particle illusion support Unity or Unreal?
No, it's a separate thing, really. It's a I don't know what the right terminology is. It's not a real-time particle system that plugs into a game engine or anything like that, or even can output particles in any format that those systems would know. It's definitely a visual effects, I guess, particle rendering tool. I guess is that what you would call it. So you can with the plugin you can add your particle effects to your video and motion graphics, but it's not a plugin for any game engines or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good answer, right? Like you can use it with Unreal if you add it in the composite stage, right? If you're rendering out elements from Unreal and then you're using C4D to bring it into After Effects, you could stack those on as well. And you can use the 3D aspect of the 3D integration of the plugin, right, with the AE camera. So you could use it that way, but it's all going to be at that final comp phase. Nothing's going to work for you Unreal. Love the question, though. I love the question. Like, fascinated by this. So had to bring that in.
We've actually had those questions. I used to get those questions early in the early 2000s. Does this work with Game Engine X? I'm a game developer. Can I use this in games? And yeah, it's just not set up for that.
But definitely you can use it for your movies that you're making with Unreal Engine, which a lot of people are doing right now, or doing motion graphics with Unreal Engine. So that's you can use it at that halfway point, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I think we should probably think about getting into John's presentation and see what John has for us. So, as I mentioned earlier, John's in Australia, so he's asleep right now. So we have had him record a session. It's about 27 minutes long, and he's going to talk to us about how to use particle illusion, and we'll be answering your questions live in the chat as he talks. And then when he kicks it back to me, we'll go right back into live questions. So without further ado, I think we're going to get started with that. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button again, because that is how we keep creating this content. And let's move in to see what John is doing. So cue it up, John.
Thanks, Mary, and hi, everyone. What I'd like to do in this short session is just walk you through the main new features in Particle Illusion Standalone 2021.5. And if you are a new user, this will just introduce you to a general workflow for when you're getting started with this software. So let's jump in. Okay, so let's get started by taking a look at some of the brand new emitter presets that ship with 2021.5. And to do that, I'm just going to come up to the View menu and choose Load Layout Browse. That'll give us a larger viewable area so we can take a look at these. And I'm just going to click on Library View, come down and choose Emitters 2021.5. Now there's a nice range of emitter presets here that take advantage of the new features. Just going to click the play button. The first one here is selected, Sparkly Glitter. So there's some really great backgrounds. A lot of these were created by Alan, and a couple were created by myself. Debris clouds, different kind of area emitters with particle clouds. I made a couple of nebula ones here, taking full advantage of the turbulence features, and also ones that take advantage of the lines feature we'll take a look at in a moment. There are a few here that are specifically designed to work with the plugin only feature of text and masks, or emitters along the text and masks. If I just drag here in the preview, you can see that we get some really nice effects with those as well. And these were created by Alan. So if you keyframe the emitter position along the mask or text in After Effects, this is the kind of result that you can get over the life of the particle. So definitely worth checking out the plugin version. So spend a bit of time taking a look through these. What I'd like to do is come down to this bottom one here. This is using a sphere emitter, which is brand new in 2021.5. And it's also using turbulence and lines. So I think what we'll do is let's recreate this from scratch. And that way, if you've not used particle illusion before, you'll get a good idea about the workflow. And if you have used particle illusion, I'll also cover some of the new features, or most of the new features that are included in this version. So I'm just going to come up to Custom. I don't even actually have to do that. If I come up to Search Emitters and type in Basic, that'll reveal my basic emitters, and I'm going to go for the most basic of the basic. You can see it's a tiny little emitter here with just a couple of particles coming out of it. So I'm going to double click that, and that's going to add that onto my stage. Come up to the View menu and choose Load Layout Edit. And there we go. Now the first thing you'll notice here is a brand new node view. This is introduced in 2021.5, and it's very exciting because it allows us to navigate the particle illusion scenes much faster. There's only limited interaction in this version, but you can look forward to greater interaction in future versions. But I have to say, just being able to navigate using these nodes already speeds up my workflow immeasurably. You can see when I clicked the particle node here, over in the controls, I'm only seeing the particle controls. If I click the emitter node, I'm only seeing the emitter controls. And if you have used particle illusion before, you'll remember that if you've got one emitter and one particle, you're going to have a long list of controls all together in this list. But if you've got more than one emitter and more than one particle, this list is super long, and it could make finding particular parameters to change really quite time consuming. But that's now a thing of the past, because all you have to do is click on the particle or the emitter you want to focus on, and you'll get those controls over here, which is fabulous. You'll notice on the particle node that we have a color here, and this particular particle is white, so it doesn't have a gradient. If I come up to properties and twirl open colors, you can see color is set to white, but of course I can set a gradient here, and we'll do that in a moment. And you can also see the particle shape here as well. I can't change that or interact with that directly on the node, but as I mentioned, I can select the node and come up here and change it in the controls. And as far as interacting with the nodes here, obviously you can move them around. You can drag, select multiple. There's also a reset button down the bottom here, reset layout, which will clean it up, especially when you've got lots and lots of nodes in there. So let's start by selecting the particle node. Actually, I want to select the emitter first because I want to change the emitter shape. So I come up to properties, and I'm actually going to stop that for a second and change the shape from point to sphere. Now I've got a teeny weeny little sphere in here. So if I come down to radius and increase that amount, there we go. So this is actually a 3D sphere, and this is new in 2021.5. If we have a look from world view, you can see there it is, lovely 3D sphere. And it has a heads-up display, like a bounding box around it. So I change the radius down here in the controls, but you can also interact directly on the stage just by clicking and dragging. And there also is now X, Y, and Z position. So you can now position your emitters in 3D space, which is new in 2021.5. There is also a new box shape, so a 3D box shape, which is great for creating fields of particles. But in this particular presentation, I'm going to focus on the sphere. And just come back to render view. And let's make a few more modifications. So first thing I probably want to do is just keyframe the number. I don't really want my particles being born then dying too quickly. You can see when I do press play, you can see it's kind of flickering because particles are being born, then they're dying. The life is set to, for the actual particle, the life is set to 10. We'll come back and change that in a moment. First of all, by clicking back on the emitter, I'm going to come back to 0. And I'm going to change the number to 1000. It's going to give us lots of particles to start with. And I'm also going to set a keyframe just by clicking and choosing linear. See down here I have a new keyframe. I'm going to move forward one frame, and I'm going to change the number to 0. Just like that. And you can see how I'm getting a graph created over here in graph view. And we'll take a look at some of these new graph view features in a moment. So now if I come back to the beginning and press play, particles are there from the very start. But at about 30 frames, they disappear. So I need them to last longer. So I'm going to change the life. I could increase it here in the emitter. Now, but these values here, these controls here, are scaling values or scaling controls for the similarly named controls in the particle. So I'm going to come over to the particle. You can see I'm bouncing backwards and forwards between these two and being able to focus in on the controls really quickly. I'm going to change the particle life to 100. So this is going to give me much longer life particles, or much longer life. That doesn't sound very correct English-wise. My particle is going to live a lot longer. You can see when I play back, they don't disappear. Now if I come back to the emitter and I change this to 0, then the particles disappear. So these are scaling values for this. So if I was to change this to 200, then that would multiply the value I've set for the particle by 2. So one thing to keep in mind when you're working in particle illusion is if you're not seeing anything happen and you've got values set for the particle, come over to the emitter and make sure that these values aren't set to 0. I'm going to bring the life back to 100. Okay, so that's good. Notice over their life, the particles are starting to disperse. That's because we've got velocity not at 0. So it's set to 100 on the emitter. I'm going to come over to the particle. I'm just going to change it here. Whether you change it on the emitter or for the particle, it doesn't really matter in a lot of situations. I think I just prefer to keep the emitter as close to its default values as possible and change things on the particle. It's just the way I like to work. Just helps me keep things more organized. So you can see velocity is set to 12. I'm going to change that to 0. And with velocity set to 0, even if the particle, the emitter velocity is set to 100, there's no change. So you need to have values greater than 0 for both the particle and the emitter. Anyway, we won't get too deep into the weeds. All of this is explained in the Getting Started tutorial series, which I'll mention at the end of this session. Okay, so we've got our particles. We're obviously looking a little bit boring now because there's no movement. So it's just a ball of particles that aren't doing anything. So we're going to add the movement to this using turbulence. Now I'm just going to save this quickly. And just going to drop it on my desktop. Just give it that name. And now with the emitter selected, under the properties, actually we'll go to properties in a moment. I just want to look at this one here, position turbulence. Now I'm going to set position turbulence to 100. And it's shifted down, and it is actually being affected by the turbulence, but it's hardly done anything. It's just slightly distorted it. What we need to do is come up to turbulence field, and I'm going to change the frequency to 100. So now you can actually start to see it really affecting that sphere. It's got more like a fractal noise kind of displacement to this, but still nothing's actually moving. The movement comes from auto evolve speed. See, that's set to 0. I'm going to set that to say 100. And now we'll see it start to move. I'm going to turn off the heads up display just by clicking up the top here and press play. There we go. So we've got this nice sort of, undulating, organic looking sphere. So no movement's coming from velocity or any of the other controls. It's all coming from turbulence. Okay, so what I want to do next is come over to the particle just by clicking on the node, and let's add some color to this. If I click on the first stop there, I'm going to make this one brown. I'm going to try and make some kind of fur. And just click on the gradient again, just bring that to the end, and double click on the stop. And I don't know, let's just bring this, not green, maybe something a little lighter. Something like that maybe. Probably not quite light enough. That'll do for now. And click apply. And I've got color type set to full gradient. I'm going to change that to random gradient and just turn use key colors on, or use key colors only on. So now you can see we've got a selection of brown and sort of gray particles. And that gray is not really doing it for me. Probably going to bring that up a little bit like that. Okay, good. All right, so what I want to do next is, I think, probably just increase the number slightly. It's not quite enough. before I do that, I'm going to turn on lines. I'll increase the number through the emitter itself. So I'm going to tool open lines first. And I want the connect to birth position checked. So I'm just going to roll my mouse in here. Check that out. So now we've got a line connecting the particle to its original birth position. So I'll leave the settings at their default for now. I'm going to come back to the emitter. You can see how I'm bouncing backwards and forwards between the emitter and the particle, and instantly being able to find the settings that I want. Okay, so now I could come back to the beginning and just increase the number here for the particles, or I could just come over to the particle itself and increase the number here. I'm going to double that to 30. Maybe 50. Oh, that looks better. All right, so what I want to also do now is just change the size. Bring that down to about 5. That's probably a little too much for now. Make that 10. Okay, so now we're getting this sort of undulating sphere, which almost looks like it has hair or fur. What I want to do, though, is give it a little more randomness. See, it's all kind of moving in a fairly uniform way, I guess, at the moment. I want to add a little bit more randomness to that. So particles have their own turbulence field settings. If I just tool open turbulence field here, there's actually a random offset option. So I'm going to just change this to, say, 10. Maybe a little more than that, say 50. That makes it a little more wild. Probably a little too much, maybe 35. Just want a few of them just moving in a little more random way. That's better. Let's quickly save this. And how about if we had less turbulence at the beginning and then we sort of animated the turbulence in? We can do that by animating turbulence over life. So I'm going to drag my value graph over a little bit. And we could also come up to the View menu and choose Load Layout Edit. Already got the particle selected. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here. And you can see Positions Turbulence over Life isn't animated. So if we come back to the beginning, and what I'm going to do first of all is just set a keyframe. So that's set at 100. I'm going to change that to 0. So we get no turbulence whatsoever. And just drag my indicator for my particle. You see the particle over life time indicator is separate from the actual scene time indicator. So this is the life of the particle. So we want to introduce the turbulence over life. So now I can bring that up. If we bring it up to 200, which is the max, then we're going to get double. So we're going to get even more. So we start with none, and then that turbulence is introduced. Now a couple of the new features in the value graph in 2021.5. We have a new slider, which is really welcome, because it was in the past quite difficult to work in the value graph. We also have an auto zoom function. This is auto zoom graph height, which is on by default, which just means that if I change the height of the graph, you can see how the graph zooms up and down like that. If I turn that off and I do the same, you can see how the graph slides, but I can bring it into view by just clicking on Z, which is zooming the graph height, just like that. And there is also a reset button, which will bring both the height and the length horizontally back into view. So I'll leave AZ turned on. One other thing is that we can now also convert our keyframes to Bezier by holding down the Alt or Option key and clicking. It gives us a handle and makes these much easier to work with, and change the interpolation much more easily, which is another really welcome addition. Looking good. I actually quite like it at 200. That looks really nice. All right, so we might make a few more adjustments in a moment. What I want to do next is take a look at cameras. So I'm just going to save that. Now, take a look up here. If I come over to the node view and just click away, so I don't select any node, you can actually see the different camera models up here. So we can choose from position, orbit, or pan. And keep in mind, we can see that because our scene is set to 3D. I'm going to choose the orbit camera model. I'm just going to set a couple of keyframes. I just want to rotate the camera or spin the camera around this emitter. So if I come back to 0 and come up to my keyframes and choose linear, I'm going to do this over the length of the animation, or the length of the scene, set to 75, and I'm going to change spin to 1. Just like that. So that's set a second keyframe. So now if I come back, we're actually spinning around this now. Very nice. If we have a look from top view, and we turn on the HUD, take a look at this. See the camera spinning around it? I'm going to come back to render view. Maybe just drag and make this a little bit bigger. It's nice to have that interactivity. All right, so there's my hairy fur ball. Now, one other thing we could do is add a force. I just wanted to show you that forces also now work in 3D. So if I come up to the force button and click, I'm going to come back to the beginning. Now, by default, this isn't going to do very much. It's going to make my force a little bit bigger just by dragging. You can see now it's starting to push those particles out. Whoa, look at that. So forces also work in 3D. It's going to decrease the strength there a little bit. And deflectors also work in 3D, which is terrific. Just play that back again. And once you've set up your animation in the standalone version, the next thing would be to do is to render it. And the render button is actually moved down to the bottom right here. So we just click on that. Come over here and you can choose to render this to either ProRes or H.264 over here. So you can have it as an MP4, and you can render that out with a alpha channel as well and composite that in your favorite compositing application. Now I'm actually in After Effects here, so I'm going to just click Apply and just do a quick preview of that. You can see it renders nice and quickly. Particle illusion has been optimized in this latest version, and it is much faster than the previous version. I was playing around with vector blur with this as well. Take a look at this. Just going to apply a little bit of vector blur. I was just playing around with this yesterday. It was giving me some really interesting results. Doesn't look so interesting like that, but if I choose direction center, it actually starts to look like real fur. Take a look at this. Just do a quick preview there. And if you're using the standalone version, of course, you could render it out and bring it into After Effects. Just give it a little bit more of that. Yeah, it really makes that look a little bit more realistic. Now, I haven't actually turned the particles off. If I wanted to, I could just change the particle size to 0, and then we'd only see the lines. All right, so I just want to quickly mention before I hand back to Mary, just about some of the new features that are in the plugin version only in After Effects. And as I talked about a moment ago, some of those presets are designed to work specifically with emitters along masks and text. And this is the example I've got here. I've just got a couple of emitters moving along a mask, and I've got another emitter moving along some text. And you can see lines is also turned on there. Get some really lovely effects when you can animate particles along text and masks. The same with this example here. So a combination of emitters. One is using the lines feature, another one doesn't have lines turned on, but they're animated to move along the text. You can get some really lovely effects. Same with this one here. So the particles are animating around the text. And I'm also using the forces in here in particle illusion to break that up, to make the text look like ash. So the sparks fall down and the text turns to ash. And I've also got the deflector turned on here as well. So some great features in particle illusion to create pretty much whatever you want. And another great feature in the plugin version of 2021.5 is the ability to apply your emitters to After Effects lights. You can see I've got some particles tracking my After Effects 3D lights. And you can also track After Effects 3D layers as well. So, okay, so last thing I want to mention is the training. Now, if you go to borisfx.com/videos, there you'll find the full Getting Started series. Now, I've added 4 more videos to this, and that includes the node view workflow and an introduction to all of the new UI features, an intro to 3D and to turbulence and lines. So that'll give you a lot more information about these new features, plus all of the original Getting Started videos. So if you're new to particle illusion, I definitely recommend starting there. And also on this link, you'll find tutorials that cover all of the new After Effects only features, things like working with emitters on lights and tracking text and mask paths, and also the 3D emitters and node view, more details in there. Okay, so that's it from me for now. I'll pass back to Mary. Thanks, Mary.
All right, thanks, past John. We actually have present John available in the chat, lurking and trolling himself. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you have a question for John, he's in there, and he can hear you and he can see you. Apparently, he has woken up. So, all right, we are back, and again, hit that like and subscribe button. That is how we continue to make this content. Also, make sure that you have entered to win prizes, because we're still giving away prizes. There are still prizes left to give away. We want to talk a little bit about some questions that maybe some users had. So I'm going to ask Brian to bring up some of those questions real quick.
Yeah, definitely. Question for Alan. A lot of people, first of all, a lot of old PI users in the chat, a lot of old companies loving to see PI is back, right, and better than ever, which is great to hear. I heard I used to use PI in Shake, right, which is a whole nother live stream. So, question about Avid Media Composer, like, does PI support Avid Media Composer as a plugin, and how does that work with the 3D side of things?
Well, the 3D side, particle illusion. If you've used lots of layers to this one.
Yeah.
If you've used Continuum in Avid before, if you've used Title Studio, you'll know that Title Studio has a built-in camera. Particle illusion uses a similar type camera system, and so it's the same thing. It's got its own built-in camera. You don't need your host does not need to have a 3D camera. After Effects is different in that we're able to use that After Effects camera because of the integration that they provide, but I think that's the only host that Particle Illusion will use the host camera if they have one. So for instance, if you're in Nuke, you can't use the Nuke camera in Particle Illusion. You can just use the built-in Particle Illusion camera. So you would animate the camera inside Particle Illusion itself, like John did in his presentation, and then that's how you would work it. So it's not like it's integrated into a full 3D environment that you can do other things with. It's just inside Particle Illusion itself.
Gotcha. And that's probably the same for other OFX hosts like Resolve and Premiere and that kind of stuff as well.
And the standalone, like if you're just using it as a standalone application, you can still do 3D moves, camera moves, and all that stuff, and just render out your results.
Gotcha. Cool. So a lot of people really loving the node workflow, right? A lot of people really impressed with that. Can you talk a little bit about this, like why you introduced nodes? Like what are the big advantages and disadvantages from your point? Like kind of why you added this new kind of UI change?
So one of the things that we've been looking at for a while is some way of making that huge parameter list inside PI more usable. And we looked at a couple of different ways to do it, breaking it up into sort of a split view where the top would have layers of your objects and then the bottom would be the parameters. That was one way to look at it. And then nodes view was another one that kind of made sense. We've got nodes in Sapphire, we've got nodes in Silhouette, we've got nodes in a lot of people are familiar with nodal workflow, so it kind of made sense. So we started looking at that, and it just became as soon as we tried it, it just became the right way to do it. It made so much sense. And again, if you've used Particle Illusion in the past, if you've looked at the recent release, but let's say an older version of the recent rebirth of Particle Illusion, you'll just know that parameter view is just huge, especially if you use some of the presets that have got 8 to 10 different types of particles in them. It's just you're constantly scrolling and twirling things open, trying to find the right parameter. And so the node view, not only does it visually let you see sort of what that more complex setup looks like, it's got the gradients on each particle, so you can immediately see, oh, the one that's blue, that's the one that's blue. I don't have to remember that the one that was called Spark a Little Fast is actually blue, like you'd have to, which you had to do before. So it really helps tremendously, just to make things more, like John said, easier to use and faster. It really does. Gotcha.
Daniela in the chat had a good question. I know John went over this tutorial, but some people can be popping in, popping out.
Yeah.
Can you make the particles move to one direction, right? Like a classic hair flowing in the wind type stuff. If you wanted to make them move in one direction, how would you go about doing something like that?
Yeah, there's multiple ways of doing things. The emitter itself can have a emission angle, so the particles would move that way specifically. But like John did it toward the end of his presentation, I might use a force object. A force object, there's different types. The box force has one direction that you can control, and that would probably be the best way to do it. There's also a grid subtype, I guess, of that you could set up a little variation so that you had, instead of one box, you'd have multiple boxes with slight variation in the angle, which might give it more realism. There's a lot of options there.
Cool.
Can't just use a hairdryer?
Yeah, that's hair dryer is only in the plugin version, Mary.
Nice. Very good.
Boom. Mary, we have a ton of prizes to give away. I have a few more
We
questions, but let's give away some Particle Illusion plugins because we have some to get through here.
I love giving away stuff. It makes me feel like Oprah.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So congratulations. Another particle illusion premium filter is going to Pollyanna Hardwick Brown. Congratulations, Pollyanna.
Okay, we got
And
one
who
more.
else? All right. Another particle illusion premium filter is going to Bobby Rafferty. So congratulations, Bobby. That's fantastic. We
One
have so
more
many of
coming
these
at
to give
you.
away.
Yeah, here we go. Coming at you. Let's try a cross zoom here. This is fantastic. Oh, look at that.
Oh, very,
Wow.
very good. That's so fancy. So another particle illusion premium filter goes to Jose Marin. So congratulations, Jose.
2 more for this round here. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. The hits keep on coming. All right, who do we got? Who's up next? Particle illusion premium filter is going to Bill Miller. Congratulations, Bill. And again, another one is going to particle illusion premium filter is going to Daniela Agrandona Low. So congratulations, Daniela. And once again, the only way to enter to win these is to go to Boris FX Live and to enter your information. So make sure that when you watch these live streams, you go to our website, to Boris FX Live, and enter your information into our Enter to Win form. And again, we love to hear from you guys. So thanks so much. And then, Brian, I think you said you had some more questions.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go through here. I think we hit them all. Just, like I said, a lot of people loving the nodal workflow, similar to, used in Fusion, that kind of thing. A lot of people really loving the new features in here as well. I think we got all that. So I think we've pretty much covered all the questions. Feel free to everyone to throw it into the chat if you'd like to get in one last question at the end. Alan, any closing thoughts or anything? Now we have you here live. You've done a great job, I will say.
Definitely. I mean, Mary has said it many times. There's no reason not to download the free version and just try it out, and then take a look at the video series. It'll help you get started right away if you're not able to jump in and do something right away, which I would be surprised if you weren't. The video series is really great to just cover all the little details, things you might want to figure out how to do.
Yeah,
I have one thing that definitely we should tell everybody about is the Particle Illusion Forum, right? Great place to get it. So if you go to borisfx.com, let me go ahead and show you how to get into this. If you're on the Boris FX website, go ahead and under support, choose community. Right, and you can get down to the Particle Illusion Forum in here. And this is a great place. Alan's in here answering questions. It's a great place that people are in here sharing tips and tricks. Great kind of place to get easy feedback, easy answers to your questions. Definitely check out the Boris FX Forum. If you're just starting out with Particle Illusion, it's a great place to kind of get some instant tech support and help.
Well, even if you're not just starting out, if you're a veteran user and you're really excited about it, and you want to tell us about feature requests that you'd like to see or all kinds of things, we definitely want to hear from you in those ways as well.
Absolutely.
Well, all right, guys. Well, we mentioned that you can learn more about Boris FX on the free training and on the forums. I want to tell you about coming up in 3 weeks. I'm excited about this. It's the 20th anniversary of Mocha.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be doing a live stream about that. And that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm going to be there. Ben's going to be there. Ross is going to be there. We're all going to talk about Mocha and 20 years of it and show you what's new and what we've done with Mocha 2022. That's going to be so exciting.
I mean, we already got a thumbs down. What's going on here? Right? Come on.
Ridiculous.
That was me. I'm sorry.
That was me. Sorry. That was probably me too as well. Yes, September 22nd at 2 p.m. 3 weeks from today, right? This is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be here. Ben will be on. Mary, you'll be on as well. And how about burying the lead here, Mocha Pro 2022, right? Going to be checking that out. So great to see kind of what's going on and the new improvements in Mocha Pro. And I look forward to hearing some war stories, hearing some of kind of like originally how Mocha got developed. This will definitely be a fun one.
Well, yeah, we got the OG team together. The OG team is going to answer everybody's questions, even folks that aren't necessarily with Boris FX, but people who worked on Mocha in the past. So it should be pretty interesting. I want to give a big thank you to Alan and John, and also Brian, because Brian is running the behind the scenes stuff here. But Alan, thank you so much for sharing your experience with these incredible tools and how it all started. And John, thank you for joining us and for giving us that wonderful breakdown on how to use the software. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate you tuning in. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have we given away absolutely everything that we need to give away?
Absolutely not. I feel like you're wrapping up, but we have some more work to do. All right, we have. I know. I mean,
I'm panicking in the chat.
I went a little nuts with the prizes today, but I was really excited about this new Particle Illusion Premium Filter subscription. So we have one more Particle Illusion Premium Filter subscription, and that goes to Stacy Auckland. Congratulations, Stacy.
Very good.
And the big prizes, right? Coming up left, we have 3 big ones. Mary, you can pronounce this because I will butcher it horribly, but the annual...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the winner of the subscription to Continuum.
That's going to be Lizette Gutierrez Parker. So congratulations. Congratulations, Lizette.
And we have the winner of your one item of your choice from the Boris FX swag store up on YouTube is...
That's going to be Marilyn Jimenez. So congratulations, Marilyn.
And we have the big winner, right? If I had a drum roll here. We have the Boris FX Suite winner. This is a 12-month subscription to everything we make. This is Sapphire, Continuum, Mocha, Silhouette, and Optics. Right? We can throw PI standalone free in there as well as part of the suite. So this is every single thing we make. 12 months multi-host subscription goes to...
Who is the big winner? Lee Allred today. So
congratulations, Lee.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Congratulations.
That is a big prize.
Great work.
And yeah, I was wrapping up, and then I realized, wait, we still have a ton more prizes to give away. I'm not used to giving away so many. This is a lot. But yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. And like I said, thank you, Alan and John, and thank you, Brian. And make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Please let us know what you thought of the live stream in the chat. And if you have any more questions, find us on our forums and borisfx.com. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.